Do more by doing less. With me, Charles Alexander, for small business owners, startups, and busy folks.
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Clark, it's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
How many times in your own business have you felt like an on-call employee? Years ago, I worked for a company called Servpro, fire and water cleanup. And they would have to take turns over who would receive the dreaded midnight call that someone's house was on fire or their living room had flooded with a busted pipe. They're an employee. How many times have you felt like that with your clients, with your employees, with your family, friends, or whoever? If that's the case, today we're going to talk about why it's okay to not be available 24/7, to not say yes to everything, and why you have to do this. And it's essential for you to have respect, sanity, and even some success. Let me break it down for you. I'm going to give you the primary reasons why you have to set boundaries, examples of other folks that I've seen do this, including myself. 4 things you need to do in order to create those boundaries, and what will happen if you do that, and unfortunately what will happen if you don't. Look, people only respect boundaries if you have them. Too many times I've had coaching clients of mine come to me in a dither, whining and complaining that everyone thinks they're available 24/7. Clients that text them, call them, email them all night, family that seems to think that the mom or the dad or whoever's the business owner is also a personal servant. That includes from your own parents, and not to mention just people in the community that are constantly tagging you for another committee or another board or trying to guilt you into something else. Look, if you don't set expectations that you won't jump at a moment's notice, people don't know that. So in that case, it's actually our fault because we didn't tell people we had boundaries. We don't set boundaries primarily because it's hard to do. It's confrontation. And we think we're going to lose friends and not influence people. Look, your client, and that's who we're talking about primarily, although there's boundaries to be set all over the place, especially once we start talking about things throughout a holiday season. Your client's not going to necessarily fire you and run away. If they do, good. That was a client we probably didn't need. And take this with a grain of salt, ignore everything I'm going to say. If you have one large client that is paying your mortgage and you're going to be thrown out onto the street if you set a boundary with them, this isn't for you. That should be 0.01% of anyone listening, which basically means nobody. For the rest of us, it's usually the opposite of that. Once you set some boundaries and once you tell people what your actual availability is, then they're going to respect it more. And by respect it more, think of anybody that's ever sent you a calendar link and said, all right, well, let's schedule some time. Let's get to know each other. See if we have synergy. You click on that calendar link and it's available every moment of every day. Your immediate thought of them, the value of what they offer goes down, right? And that's just kind of by nature. And your customer doesn't need you to be available 24/7. It's pretty rare that whatever you do for a living has to be addressed at 2 a.m. Other than the example I gave, if you're in crisis management, if you're a digital marketing agency, financial advisor, insurance agent, if you're a business coach, if you own whatever, odds are that's not the case. And then not to mention, while I'm talking about boundaries for everybody else, you need to set boundaries also for yourself. I have my own boundaries. If you don't give yourself guardrails, you can constantly get into paralysis by analysis. And every day you get stuck because every day you have all of these different options available to you, kind of work you do, and then what you'll charge people and tasks you'll delegate and people you interact with. I need personal boundaries for what I will and won't. I need personal boundaries for what I will and won't eat or what I will and won't participate in. As soon as I hit 40, I realized 2 things I dislike: being hungover and sunburned. I have boundaries for how much time I'm going to spend in the sun without sunblock and how much time I'm going, or how many drinks I might have the night before I have something else to do. Those are personal boundaries. Lastly, before I get into some real examples here, the successful entrepreneurs that we look up to, they are the quintessential boundary creators. It is rare that you hear a super successful entrepreneur that, they may say they have an open door policy, but I can guarantee you not everybody can get access to them 24/7 whenever they want. There's a reason for that. Those boundaries allow them to do the work that matters the most, that allow them to think, allow them to create, allow them to have space and margin in their life, because if they didn't, they wouldn't do this to begin with. That's what you and I both need. Let me give you some practical examples from myself, businesses, others. We'll start off with a holiday one. Ever seen the movie Four Christmases? If you haven't, get it. It's hilarious, except I don't want that to happen to me in real life. It's Vince Vaughn and Witherspoon. Her name's not Renee, Reese. Anywho, the point is they have all these different people that expect them to be there there's an event. And they try to do it and it absolutely wears them out and it's impossible, but creates a funny 90 minutes. For you, it's not funny at all. During the holidays, if you're like us whatsoever, with kids at home, you have to set boundaries. You can't be in 7 different places on Christmas Day, even though the in-laws, outlaws, and friends, family, whoever expects you to be there. You have to set some boundaries. And that if you haven't done that in the past, it can be quite painful. Setting them up at first can potentially create hurt feelings, but that's just part of it. And the folks decide to have hurt feelings no matter what, we probably didn't need to go over there anyways. Another example, had a custom cabinetry maker, client of mine, was telling me about clients of hers that would contact her 24/7. This is custom cabinets, folks. This is not a 24/7 kind of job. She even told me a story about how a client of hers would text her in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., about an idea she had because she was staying up too late watching Chip and Joanna Gaines rehab something. This is not a good way to allow your clients full-on access to you. My advice to her, which she took me up on, was to create a calendar link. Calendly, a tool that actually connects to her Google Calendar. Ignore the texts, ignore the emails. Make sure they know that you're not responding within 24 hours. Another great way to handle that, especially with business emails, is to have an autoresponder that says you'll get back to them within 24 hours. And then even give them a calendar link where they can schedule time with you to have a discussion if that's what they need to do. And then don't open the calendar link like I explained a minute ago, where it's just open 24/7. Create it where it's only open Thursday afternoons and Friday afternoons when you're starting to get burned out throughout the week anyways. People will not fire you. They will respect it. And in most cases, whatever inkling they had to have to speak to you right away will suddenly vanish. And their life will be just fine as it was. Lord, in my own business, I had to set boundaries with the explainer video business, not the coaching. I had to set boundaries with a specific client that had a rush project. By the way, I don't do rush projects anymore. Those always turn into absolute disasters. People want the absolute best done in the shortest period of time for the least amount of money. Somebody else's emergency or lack of planning shouldn't be my emergency. Anyway, I'm trying to help out. It was a client that was creating e-learning projects, and I made the mistake of giving him my personal cell phone. Another boundary, don't give out your personal cell phone. And if you only have one phone, great. Use Google Voice, a great tool that will allow you to give that number out to somebody. And when it rings, you see that it's not a regular call coming in. It's coming in from Google Voice. And on Google Voice, you can tell somebody to text that number or to email or to give you 24 hours to get back to them and just let it roll over. That way you have boundaries there as well. For me, I messed up, gave them my personal cell. We were trying to knock a project out. I got it done in 2 days, which is absolutely insane in record time, way farther than my 14 days. And the entire weekend, he kept texting my phone, asking me to fix something, or rather to flip it back to him, which is not a real thing. You don't flip back a video. But can you flip it back to me? Can you flip it back to me? I worked through it that weekend, sent him a very clear set of boundaries on Monday, him and his partner, to let them know we're going to go back to the way we worked before. No worries. And we did exactly that. Look, and it's not just us. That's my example. The other one was a client example. For you, if you're someone's client If you're trying, if you, an Amazon box, Jeff Bezos is not delivering it. If you want, something to do with, if you want to go to Dunkin' Donuts in the middle of the night, they're not open at 1 a.m. There are boundaries in place. So it's up to us to set those kind of boundaries. And I know there's founders, he says with air quotes, that insist on being the one to personally deliver every single thing to their client. A lot of those founders I know look really successful on social media. And the ones I know personally behind the scenes, things are not that easy. Life is hard. They are working until 10 or 11 every night. They get to be the most important person in their business, and they are also chained to the business. They can step away. They just choose not to set boundaries for a wide variety of reasons, most of which are maybe narcissistic. Give your family boundaries as well. And when I say give your family boundaries, I'm not here to offer family advice, but me and Sarah, we have boundaries. Kids aren't really allowed to pop into the bedroom after 9 p.m. They can knock. We don't ignore our kids, but the open door policy is closed. Same as when Sarah is working from home. She has her own bookkeeping business. She has an office in the laundry room, what she calls the loffice. That door is shut. Do not go in. She is laser focused trying to reconcile a QuickBooks account or finish somebody's payroll taxes. Give your family boundaries as well, and they will, in fact, respect them. How do you start setting boundaries if you have just kind of let it go for this entire time? Well, don't come in day one. Don't turn around and email all clients, all employees, and family, and start World War III. Pick 2 things, let's say for this week, that you will set a boundary on. Make one of them that you set it for yourself. If you check email past 6 p.m. every night, or if you log on to Facebook past a certain time, that's your boundary. Stop doing that. Create it for yourself. Create a reminder that says you will shut it down. If you're working from a laptop, put it up, put it into the little case, slide it under the bed. If it's from your phone, put your phone in another room. Delete the app if you have to. Other boundaries that you can pick this week. If you're onboarding a new client, this is the easiest way to do it. If you're onboarding a new client, let them know what your boundaries are. And don't say, hey, I have boundaries. Just say, if you email us, expect a reply within 24 hours or less, usually less. They'll respect it. Same as if you're doing a proposal right now. Have a list of things that you don't do, but if you do, you charge extra for them. People respect that. If you have employees that need boundaries, pick one simple boundary to give an employee and set it and get their feedback on it. Start small. Be clear with the boundary and explain exactly why you are setting it. People are way more accepting when you tell them why you're doing something. And then try to create some consequences there. Most of the time you can have natural consequences when boundaries are broken. It's that a deadline is missed, something isn't delivered, or when you're trying to get technical service on something and they say, please do not leave multiple voicemails, as that will put you at the bottom of the query. That sort of thing. Folks, this is the time of year. This is the time to do it. Set some boundaries. Setting boundaries will free you up for your sanity, for your time, for your happiness. Not setting boundaries, you'll be doomed to some frustration and just kind of blaming others for all of the things that you're not getting. People only know that you have boundaries when you set them and you tell them. If you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, advisor, agent, or freelancer, listen up. If you'd rather do what you love, spend more time with family, friends, traveling, exercise, sleep, have the time to do what you want instead of putting out fires, fighting never-ending to-do lists, checking email at 9 p.m., then go to yourcharlesalexander.com. I've created the toolkit you need with all the bells and whistles to help you streamline your workflow without sacrificing your income. Just go to yourcharlesalexander.com, scroll to the bottom, grab the exclusive toolkit, and start seeing results right away and take the first step toward a more balanced work life. And as always, if you don't, an angel may actually lose its wings. True story. Have a great day.